All right, let's talk about one of the absolute coolest things you see in movies, the car stunt. I mean, it just looks like pure, beautiful chaos on screen, right? But what if I told you that behind every single one of those insane jumps, spins, and crashes, there's a ton of science, engineering, and just, mind-blowing driver skill? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get behind the wheel and break down how they really pull off the impossible.
So, have you ever really stopped to think about it? How in the world do they flip a massive 18-wheeler or send a sports car into a perfect spiraling barrel roll? Your first thought might be, oh, it's all just CGI these days. And yeah, sometimes it is. But a lot of the time, it's not. It's real. And that's what we're diving into, how these unbelievable feats are actually brought to life.
Okay, so before you can even think about those huge, crazy stunts, you gotta learn the basics. It's like a whole different language. Every big, jaw-dropping move is built on a few core techniques that are all about, believe it or not, control. So let's learn to speak the language of stunts.
First up, we've got the classic drift. And let's be super clear, this is not just about slamming on the gas and skidding around. No, that's just losing control. Drifting is the absolute art of control. It's about deliberately kicking the back of the car out into a slide, and then just dancing on the very edge with the throttle and the steering to keep it there. It's seriously like a ballet, just with a whole lot more horsepower.
Then you've got the J-turn. You know this one. You've seen it 1,000 times. The getaway car is flying backward at full speed, and then wham! In one super smooth move, the driver whips it around 180 degrees and floors it, driving forward. No stopping, no hesitation. It is the ultimate get-out-of-dodge maneuver.
Okay, now we're getting into the really slick stuff, the Scandinavian flick. This move is straight out of the rally driver's playbook. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but to take a super sharp turn, the driver actually steers the wrong way for just a split second. It throws the car's weight off balance, and then they flick it back into the turn, which whips the car's rear end around perfectly. It's all about using physics to your advantage for a super fast, super stylish corner.
So, you've got the moves down. But can you just hop in your family minivan and pull this stuff off? Well, probably not. For a stunt driver, picking the right car is everything. It is all about having the right tool for the job. And this really shows you what I mean. There's no one-size-fits-all stunt car. You want to do a big smoky power slide? You need something with a ton of torque and rear-wheel drive. Hello, Dodge Hellcat. But if you're doing nimble jumps or rally-style driving, you need the insane grip and control of an all-wheel drive car like a Subaru WRX. For those huge desert jumps, you're not doing that without the bonkers suspension of a trophy truck. And for something really precise, like an aerial stunt, it's all about balance, which is why the Jaguar E-Pace was used for a record-setting barrel roll.
And what's really fascinating is that this isn't the same everywhere in the world. The go-to stunt cars change depending on where you are. Take India, for example. The stunt teams there are working with a totally different lineup. For drifting, they might grab a BMW 3 Series or a Mercedes C-Class. For rugged off-road stuff, the Mahindra Thar is their beast of choice. It just goes to show you, stunt drivers are incredibly resourceful. They adapt and use the best tools they can get their hands on wherever they are. Okay, so we've talked skills, we've talked cars, but now we need to get serious for a minute and talk about maybe the single most important part of all of this, safety. I mean, this stuff is obviously incredibly dangerous. So the amount of work that goes into just keeping the driver safe, it's meticulous. It is absolutely non-negotiable. Let's start with the driver. They're basically wearing a custom suit of armor. You've got a top-of-the-line, Snell-rated helmet that can take a massive impact. Then, their entire suit, gloves, shoes, everything is made of a fireproof material like Nomax. That's not to prevent a fire, it's to give them precious seconds to get out if one starts. And forget about a regular seatbelt. They are strapped in tight with full-body harnesses that pin them to the seat so they don't get tossed around during a violent crash or roll. And the car gets a total safety makeover too. It's turned into a protective shell. A heavy-duty steel roll cage gets welded inside to make sure the roof doesn't collapse and roll over. All those helpful electronics you have in your car, like traction control, all gone. They get disabled so the driver has absolute 100% control. Then they add things like a hydraulic handbrake for super precise slides. You see, every single change is there for one of two reasons, either to give the driver more control or to save their life if they lose it. All right, the gear is on, the car is prepped, it's time to enter the danger zone. Now we're talking about the stunts that push everything, the car, the driver, the laws of physics, right to the absolute breaking point. These are the stunts that make the highlight reels. We're talking about massive vehicle jumps, maybe from building to building or flying out of an explosion. We're talking about flipping a car over on purpose in a controlled but still incredibly violent way. Then you've got the craziest stuff, like the cannon roll. And yes, that's a literal cannon under the car that fires to send it flying. And then there's the art of driving on just two wheels. They call it skiing. Make no mistake, these are not just tricks. Each one is a huge calculated risk. So you take the skills, the cars, the safety prep, and all that danger. And what do you get? You get some of the most unforgettable moments in movie history. Let's look at a few of the absolute craziest car stunts ever put on film.
We have to start with an absolute legend. The corkscrew jump from the Bond film, The Man with the Golden Gun. This was way back in 1974. A stuntman actually performed a full 360-degree spiral jump over a river. And get this, it was one of the very first stunts ever planned out using a computer model to get the physics right. But the craziest part, he did it for real, and he nailed it on the very first try. One take. Just incredible.
Okay, now let's jump ahead to The Dark Knight. Remember that scene where Batman flips the Joker's 18-wheeler? You look at that and you just assume, okay, that has to be CGI. But it wasn't, not a single bit of it. The stunt crew built this giant piston, a hydraulic ram, and hid it inside the street. They drove the truck over it, fired the ram, and it literally punted the truck end over end for real. That's not computer graphics, that's just pure, brilliant engineering.
Of course, we have to talk about Fast and Furious. For Fast 5, they did the insane bank vault heist. And I mean, they really did it. They weren't dragging some hollow plastic box. They had a giant, heavy, very real bank vault prop, and they just towed it through the city streets, smashing everything in their path. They destroyed something like 200 cars while filming that sequence. Now that is commitment. But let's circle back to James Bond for a second, because he's not done breaking records. There's another stunt. One so wild, so violent, that it's defined by a single, shocking number: 7.
That's how many times the car rolled. In Casino Royale, for that huge crash scene, they used one of those nitrogen cannons we talked about to launch Bond's Aston Martin. And it didn't just roll once or twice, it completed 7 full rolls. That set a brand new Guinness World Record. They took a gorgeous Aston Martin and just utterly destroyed it to get one of the most dramatic crash scenes ever filmed.
So after seeing all this, the incredible skill, the science, the insane risks, it really leaves you with a question, right? What is stunt driving? Is it the ultimate form of artistry and control behind the wheel? Or is it just a beautiful, calculated, and frankly, kind of insane thing to do? You know what? I think the real answer is that it has to be a little bit of both. Thanks for joining me on this ride.